Giving up is hard to do. Giving up is hard to do. If you've lived any amount of time, at one time or another, you wanted to give up. You have wanted to throw in the towel. If you haven't wanted to give up yet, just keep on living. Life has a way of hitting us, beating us, breaking us down that we will want to give up. Some of us in here can testify. I wanted to give up on a whole bunch of stuff in life. I wanted to give up on my career, wanted to give up on my family, wanted to give up on my marriage, wanted to give up on my goals, wanted to give up on my dreams, wanted to give up on the possibility of change, wanted to give up that I could be delivered, wanted to give up on the fact that the passions that God has given me won't ever come to reality, wanted to give up on being healed. We've all wanted to give up on something. But giving up is not the way to go. I know at times we think that giving up is our only option. Because in our mind, we are come to the conclusion that we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. That if this is it, no change is ever going to come. So what's the point of continuing to try? Has anybody ever lived in a place in your life that the good you did, it seemed like it never changed the situation for you? That you said, I'm going to stop doing this and I'm going to start doing this, but it just didn't even get any better. It's like the changes you've made to be better didn't make the situation nor your life better. And so you say, oh, heck with it. We said a different word. We said I'm in church, so I can't say the word that we said ourselves. But we ain't say heck. We said forget it in another manner. Because that's what life will do to us sometimes. It will make us say, I'm tired of trying to do right. I'm tired of trying to get it together. Nothing seems to change because it seems as if those folk that ain't trying to change got it good. It seems like the folk that ain't paying their tithes, ain't giving to God, got more money than I got. It seems as if the people that are trying to do wrong seem to succeed in their wrong. So why even try to do right? Why even try to press on? Why even try to continue? I came by to tell somebody this morning to let you know that giving up is hard to do. Why do you say that, Pastor? Because first of all, giving up insults God. Giving up insults God. It insults God because when you give up, you discount God's love for you and you discredit his character. Let me say that again so that you catch that. When you give up, you discount God's love for you and you discredit his character. Giving up implies that God does not know what is best for you, or he does not have the authority to change what is happening to you. When I give up, that's what I am saying. I'm saying that I'm more knowledgeable about my situation, about me, about my life than God is, because the situation we're in, we're often blinded by the situation. And so, because giving up insults God, let me ask you a question to make sure that we're on the same page. Has God ever been there for you before? Oh, okay. All right. A couple of y'all, he's been there for you before. Has God ever been loving toward you before? Has God ever gotten you out of trouble before? Has God ever come by your side and fixed situations for you before? Has God been concerned about you before? Has God been faithful to you before? Well, if God has been all of that before, what would make him change now? What would make God change now? Because as a matter of fact, I cuss a little bit less than I used to cuss back then. I don't lie the way I used to lie. And so if he did it for me then, surely he'll do it for me because I'm a little bit better now. I ain't all the way there. I still got some issues, still got some problems. Y'all, C3, y'all know, I told y'all I'm chief among cussers. I know how to cuss real good. I'm trying to work on it though. But I don't cuss like I used to cuss. And so because that, it seemed like God would help me out just a little bit more. I'm trying to get it together. I'm trying to get it under control, but that's an issue that I have with me. And so if God did it for me back then when I wasn't trying to change, surely he ought to help me out now. So giving up insults God. Understand this, that his reputation is on you. You see, I'm training my children to act right, not only at the house, but also in public. Because, especially my middle child, he carries my name. He carries my name. And I can't let my namesake walk around looking crazy. I can't let my namesake walk around looking like he needed a haircut 18 years ago. I can't let my namesake walk around with clothes that he should have gave up 2 years ago. That's too small for him. I can't let my namesake go hungry. I can't let my namesake be without shelter. Well, if me, the Bible says, being evil, know how to give good gifts to my children, how much more does God know how to give good gifts to his children? So if I'm going to take care of my child, you've got to know that God is going to take care of you. I know giving up it sometimes seems your only option, but giving up is hard to do because it insults the character and the care that God has for you. God ain't gonna let his child walk around without. God is not gonna allow his child to walk around in certain situations. Yes, we go through things, but we're going through it. You got to know that giving up insults God. God cares about you, has not forgotten you. And understand this, you are valuable to God. If you weren't valuable to God, he'd just get rid of you. Stuff that has no value to me, I'd get rid of. It's no value to me. It does me no good. I ain't that smart for God just to keep me around because I'm smart. I ain't so wise he keep me around because I'm wise. I ain't so nice that God keep me around just because I'm nice. No, I'm not good enough to be here on my own merit. It is God's grace and his mercy and the value that he sees within us that keeps us. You understand this? The giving up is hard to do because it insults God. Job is going through some situations here. Job has been attacked in his body. And his wife sees him and what he's going through and says, give up. And I know that Sister Job gets a lot of slack for that. I know that people, the preacher always talks about Sister Job, mad at Sister Job because of what she says, but she's just being real. When she see her husband hurt, then there's nothing she can do about it. It's easier for him just to die than to live in the struggle. I understand, Sister Job, what you see. I understand what you're going through. And so Job is with this issue right now, and what he has done is he has begun to in this second storm. There was a first storm where the devil came and basically took all of his had, all that he had. And one day he lost all that he had. Sitting there, scratching himself with pieces of pottery because of these boils that are all over his body. The Bible says from the sole of his feet to the crown of his head, he's got these boils. The only thing that soothes him is scratching himself with these pieces of pottery. And as he is doing this, she comes and says, just curse God and die. Job responds and says, you speak like a foolish woman. He says, shall we receive good at the hand of God and shall not receive evil? Giving up is hard to do because, first of all, it insults God. But secondly, giving up is hard to do because it creates a one-sided relationship. Giving up says, I want from God, but I don't want God to use me. All right, I lost y'all. Okay. All right. Giving up says that I want God to give to me, but I don't want God to use me. Giving up says, God, I want you to give me stuff I don't deserve, but I don't want you to take me through anything. It says, God, that you can bless me with all this stuff, but you can't challenge me in my life. And many times that's the way we live our lives, that we want from God, but we don't want to give anything to God. You see, what you're going through shows, first of all, not only our loyalty to God, but our willingness to be surrendered to God. You see, there's a whole bunch of fair weather Christians that I love God and I walk with God as long as things are going great. As long as I got money in the bank, as long as I got a job, as long as my family is fine, as long as nothing major's going on in my life, as long as I can do what I want to do, go where I want to go, say what I want to say, eat where I want to eat, sleep where I want to sleep, do what, as long as all that's fine, I'm cool with God. But at the moment something is taken away, then I'm mad at God. And that proves we have a one-sided relationship. You do know that one-sided relationships are worthless. That you're only there for me as long as I can give to you. Those relationships are worthless. And that's the way some Christians respond to God. That God, I'm good with you as long as you're blessing me. But at the moment something I don't like happens in my life, I'm mad at you. I'm upset. I ain't coming to church. I ain't worshiping. I ain't praying. I ain't reading my Bible. I ain't telling nobody about how good you are. I ain't praising you. I'm not thinking about you. I'm worried about me, myself, and I. Giving up. Giving up says that it creates a one-sided relationship because God simply wants to use us. He doesn't want to use us up. He just wants to use us. You see, the problem with us being used by God is we don't understand the concept of who God is. Have you ever heard the word or the phrase, God is a just God? That means it's a judicial term. It means that God is a balanced God. Whenever you see our judicial system, you see a balance. And it is that saying that God is a balanced God. That means that God is balanced in what he does. All right, let me show you. Let me rush on. I ask God for good stuff. I ask God for money. I ask God for health. I ask God to bless my family. I ask God to bless me with all kind of good stuff. But because God is balanced, there is some good stuff he's giving me. But what about the bad stuff? Well, I ain't crazy. So I don't ask God for bad stuff. I don't ask God to send sickness. I don't ask God to send heartbreak. I don't ask God to send issues in my life. But because God is a just God, he's a balanced God, because there's been some good he's given, that means he's also got to give some that doesn't seem good. Because there's been some stuff that happened in our life that makes us smile, there's also going to be some stuff that may make us cry. So what we need to understand about giving up on God is that God is a balanced God. That means that if there's been some good, expect some bad. That means that if there's been some trouble in your life, go ahead and expect some peace. That means if there is some stress in your life, expect some relief. If there's been some brokenness in your life, expect some mending. And so many of us get upset with God because we think that the bad in our life is just going to weigh us down and wear us out and destroy us. But we've got to know God is a balanced God. So if you've been experiencing a whole bunch of tears, if you've been experiencing a whole bunch of headache and a whole bunch of frustration and a whole bunch of bad news, expect God to pour out and rain some good stuff in your life, because he says that he is a just God. We didn't create that characteristic of God. That was him all by himself. So just because one day is bad, it won't always be like that. I wish I had somebody with me. I'm trying to hit the exit ramp right there. God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. We've got to know that just because we're going through some stuff, don't give up. Don't give in. Keep on fighting, because God will give you exactly what you need to balance that thing out. As a matter of fact, the way he balanced it, he balanced more favor than he does hurt in our life anyway. That's why the songwriter said, I've had some good days and my bad days, but my good days outweigh my bad days. And so I've got to understand this fact, that I'm going to keep on believing. We've got to keep on trusting. We've got to keep on going, keep on knowing that God is going to pour out his blessing upon our life, and it won't always be like that. We've got to know that it creates a one-sided relationship when we give up on God. We cannot act like that. We cannot respond to God like that. Job says, shall we expect good at the hand of God and not evil? Understand that Job had been mighty blessed. The Bible says that there was nobody like him. He was the richest man in the East. And so he had received a whole bunch of God's favor in his life. So he knew that one day God had to send some bad his way. But because of God's love, God will make that bad turn and work out for our good. Does anybody believe that? Here it is. I'm about to hear God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. Leave this one last thing with you, and I'm going to take my seat. Giving up is hard to do because it insults God. Giving up is hard to do is because it creates a one-sided relationship. But also giving up is hard to do because it assumes the pain is permanent. It's hard to do because it assumes the pain is permanent. As again, we jumped into chapter 2 in the middle of the story. But in chapter 1, Job had a bad day. Job had a rough day. In one day, Job lost 500 yoke of oxen. In one day, he lost 500 she-asses. In one day, he lost 7,000 camel. In one day, 7,000 sheep. In one day, he lost 3,000 camel. In one day, he lost all 7 of his sons. In one day, he lost all 3 of his daughters. In one day, he went bankrupt. One day, he lost all that he had. And before he can recover from that bad day, this bad day happens when these boils come all over his body. He's having a bad day. But here it is. Job didn't give up on God. Job didn't go and make burial plans, because that would be the logical thing to do. Job didn't go and say, okay, this is the end of my life. I lost all my family. I lost all my possessions. Now my health is gone. Let me just go and prepare to die, because that's what's about to happen. Job didn't do that. What Job did was set in some ashes, took pieces of pottery, and scratched the boils. Pieces of pottery and scratch the boils. Pieces of pottery and scratch the boils. Now see, scratching the pottery on his boils only soothed for a second. Can I tell you the blessing in that? it soothed for a second. It soothed for a second. It soothed for a second. Job did not go and find a permanent solution for a temporary issue, but he found a temporary solution for a temporary issue. Again, he could have went and made burial plans. He could have went on and cursed God and died. He could have made these permanent decisions, these permanent solutions about something that's temporary. But he didn't. He found a temporary solution for a temporary issue. What Job didn't do was like I know some people have done. I know somebody that didn't have gas money and sold their car. I swear for God, they sold their car because they didn't have gas money. And I looked at them and said, "You did what?" "Yeah, I ain't had no gas money." "Well, fool, you ain't got no car now? You can get some gas money. Why would you create a permanent solution for something that's only temporary? You're going to get paid again. Payday is going to come. You'll be able to scrounge up $3.25 worth of gas. Why would you make a permanent solution for something that's temporary?" Well, can I just tell you as I leave you that that's what we do when we give up on God. We assume that what we are going through is a permanent situation. We assume because we've tried and tried, that that's the way it's always going to be. But I just came by to encourage somebody this morning that it's just a temporary situation. It's just something that's going to last for a little while, because you can expect God to show up. And I don't know about you, but when God shows up, God shows out. You see, we often call him Jehovah Jireh, and we say it as God, our provider. But the reality is, it literally means in the Hebrew that God sees. And the idea is that when God sees, God provides. Y'all missed that, so let me rewind that just a little bit. When God sees your need, he's going to provide for your need. There is nothing that's too hard for our God. But God is going to show up in our life. And when God shows up in our life, you can expect God to do what only God can do. So if you're going through a problem right now, don't worry about what you see. And don't worry about what you feel. Please, 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 don't worry about what you may think you know. But know that God has it under control. Please, oh please believe me when I tell you that it's only temporary. Do me a favor, take number 1 down just a tad bit for me so I can kill that ring. Please know just a little bit more up and we're going to get it right, that God will work it out for you. When you're going through, God can fix it for you. When you're struggling in life, God is on the way. When there's problems that seem too rough for you, God's about to fix it for you. So please, please, please don't give up on God, because it's only temporary. Did you know that sickness is only temporary? Please know that mental issues are only temporary. Know that marital problems are only temporary. temporary. Stress and loneliness is only temporary. Being broke is only temporary. Sadness and broken hearts are only temporary. Know that it's all simply temporary, and God's going to fix it for you. I don't know who I'm talking here today, but please know that God will do it for you. He has seen your issues. He's heard your cries. He knows all about your issues that you're facing. And in just a little while, you'll see God show himself as God. He loves you too much to allow this to take you out. He loves you too much for this to destroy you. He loves you too much to allow this to break you down. But God's gonna build you back up again. I wish I had time to tell you that in the end, Job wins. It doesn't look like it right now, but in a little while, Job gets all of the victory because God did what God only could do. And so you've got to know that in your life, God's gonna do what only God can do. And when God does what God can do, it will blow your mind. So don't worry about what you see right now. Don't worry about what you feel right now. Don't worry about what you're going through right now. God's going to work it out for you. There's not a problem that's too hard for the Lord. He can do it for you. If he can make water dry up, he can fix your situation. If he can bring dead people back to life, he can fix your situation. If he can make the lame walk, he can fix your situation. If he can make the blind to see, he can fix your situation. If he can give money, he can fix your situation. If he can provide joy, he can fix your situation. You got to know that there is nothing too hard for the Lord. In just a little while, he's going to show up in your life. Can anybody in here testify that the Lord showed up in my life? Can anybody in here today testify that God did the impossible in my life? Is there anybody in here today that can say God showed up, did it for me? Come hear him right. Testify for me. I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. Very deeply I was stained within, and I was seeking to rise no more. But the master of the sea, he heard my despairing cry, and from the waters he lifted me. Now safe am I. The hymn writer said it was his love that lifted me. Love lifted me when nothing else could help. It was his love that lifted me. I just came by to tell you in just a little while, his love will lift you up. His love will destroy the yoke. His love will bring you back to life. Is there anybody in here that knows about our God? Is there anybody here that believes that he can do it? Anybody here that has faith that God is able to do it? Can you say yeah? Say yeah. Say yeah. He's able to do it, I tell you. There's not a God like our God. He's able to do it. Can I tell you that he'll blow your mind on Monday? He'll blow your mind on Tuesday. He'll blow your mind on Wednesday, on Thursday, and on Friday. he'll even blow your mind. I've been with the Lord long enough to know that he can do it. And because he can do it, I'm just going to believe that he's going to do it. I've been with the Lord long enough to see him work miracles in my life. And so God's going to do it. I've got faith that on tomorrow a change just might come. I got faith that next week my situation may turn around. It's only temporary. And so I expect God to come and fix it for me. Is there anybody know that he'll fix it? Can you say yes? Say yes. Say yes. Yeah. Wish I had a little bit more throat. I promise I feel like hollering today. I really want to holler today. I really just want to give God the glory to tell you that he's able. Anybody know he's able? Can you say yes? Say yeah. Say yeah. Yeah. He's able. I'm done. I ain't got it today. But he's able. The fact that he's able blows my mind. The fact that he's able settles me. Because I'm not worried about what I'm going through. Because he knows what he's doing.